to the the main controller. We use this to move him forward. And what I'm going to do is on the Z, which already has some keys on it, but they're not doing anything because it's a straight line. I'm just going to delete this one. And then on the Z, I'm going to pull this guy forward a little bit. So basically how it works is this, he is not moving on frames 1 and 2. For those 2 frames he's on the floor. So frame 2 I also need a key, yeah? So there's one more key. But then I'm going to have him move forward on to get to the next. So there, frame 17, I'm going to move him forward maybe like that. So this is the bounce. This is what his bounce looks like. Yeah, like that. Now, because we've cycled everything, this is also cycling, but I don't want this particular thing to cycle like this. I don't want it going back to the beginning again. And I don't want it linear either, because I need, look, I'll show you, if I go here and go to curves, post infinity linear, and then make a straight line. Yes, this character will move in a straight line, but he's sliding because he's moving all the time. He's not stopping for 2 frames, and he goes through the wall, which is not what I want. So there is a way around this, and that is that you here, I'll just get this back to where it was. So here on the translate Z, just for this line, not for the others. The others have to be cycling, but just for this one, you need this on curves, post infinity, cycle with offset. Now what that does is it just reproduces this. It cycles this, but it offsets it every time, so that I actually end up with a motion of this character moving forward. But unlike the other one, he's actually on the floor for 2 frames. Look, he seems to be slowing, and maybe I have to, so here, yeah, it looks like he's another thing is, I think I'd have to alter this. It feels like he slows and he slows down again, which is, again, this is a weird kind of thing. So I would have to break tangents on this. What I want is, I want him, as he pulls up, I want him going fast and then slow. So I'm going to break the tangents here, and I'm having going fast and then slow. Maybe not quite that slow. Maybe I'm going to break the tangent here as well, and I'll have him, kind of like slowing in a little bit. So you got this kind of thing. So this should look a little bit better. Yeah. And he's going through the wall, but he has to stop. Okay, so that's the first bit. And then there's some other things that we could add to this that might make it a little bit better. I mean, maybe a tiny little bit of rotation on the Z. If I go back, I'm going to make this 17 frames long. I'm going to go back just to the so that it doesn't get confusing, because I'm going to loop this. I want a little bit of rotation in the Z, so perhaps I want it a little bit down this way, and then maybe 9, we'll have it a little bit this way, and just so he's got a little bit of side to side. So I'm going to copy this by clicking on the copy. I'll go to number 17, and I'm going to go paste. Oh, sorry, 17. The only problem with doing this is 17, so I'll have to do the thing again. So, and there's another way I can do this. So I want this rotation up and then back again. What I can do is I can go to this, because I want this subtle rotation, and you can see, because these frames are looping, I can literally take this and I can just, you see that see when I see this kind of jump here. That's because I've looped this, and because I've cycled this middle frame. If I go to, I just want this little twist. I can, if I want to make it look perfectly, all I have to do is to match up both ends, and I can actually do it in the graph editor, like so. Maybe curve this a little bit more, and then you get a little bit of a, so you get this kind of motion. It feels a bit better. Yeah. So that's what we've got so far. And if we go back to frame 200, we have this thing coming towards the wall. Yeah. And what I might do at this stage, well, an important thing to do is to save your scene. So File, and I'd always version up. So don't just save scene. If you've got it version number 1, save up to version number 2. So version number 2, and I might bring a camera, because it's always good to have a camera in, because you don't really want to be, when you come to render things, you don't want to be doing everything from the perspective view. So I would bring in a camera. So I would create camera, yeah, and the camera comes in like this, and you can always orientate this. And what you do then is you can get your camera. If I go to panels, I'm going to look through it, panels. I'm on perspective just now. I'm going to go to camera number 1, and I'm going to try and get this. If I was to render this, I'd render with the camera. So let's say I want this like this. I'm trying to think of what is a nice view. This is what it's going to look like. Do I need to pull him back? If I want to pull him back, I can pull him back using this controller here. Even I can just pull this back like this. There's some problem with the but so I can pull it back like this, and I can still get the animation that I want. And also there are these settings here. If I go to View, I can go to Camera Settings, and I can put things like, I can have an overscan if I want, which I'll show you what this means. View, Camera Settings. I can put in the what's called a film gate. So this in it just shows you, what you would render if you did this shot. It's looking a bit small here. Maybe I'd take the overscan off. So View, Camera Settings. I'll take overscan off and I'll put it on fill. So this just shows you the render that you'd get, yeah, if you were to do this and you rendered using the camera. Yeah. Okay, so right, so we've got the guy bouncing towards the wall. The tail isn't perfect, you'll have to work on that. There's some nice reference. You get a nice bouncing tail which looks a bit better than this, but even still, you get the general idea. The tail's moving and he's moving towards the wall, yeah. So, and we've got some rotations and deformations on this. So the next thing is, I'm going to go back to the perspective view, because that's where we're working. We're going to want to walk towards the wall, and then you want to stop and get ready to jump. Now where is he going to jump? What point does he jump? We jump him here or here maybe? Here he's quite close to the wall, so we could try it here. A spring quite close to the wall. Well, let's see we do it here at frame 130, yeah? Well, what we have to do is we are going to have to bake out this animation. Now what you would do normally is you get this working, you get the cycle working perfectly, so it looked really nice. And then when you thought the cycle was looking really nice, you would go and try. I'm just going to change a couple of things about that guy's tail. If you want to, if you've got him moving forward and you want to make an alteration, and you don't want to go in, and it's quite difficult to do an alteration when a character's moving, what you can do is, I'll go show NURBS curves. You can actually select the control here, this one. I see. When you have this problem and you're trying to select a control and you can't because there's something in the way, just go to your display layers and press here where it says make. This means make a layer, and it also means you're putting an object in it. So you're making a layer, and then you can just, you've got this object selected, and you can put add selected objects, and I can make this a template, or I can turn it to R, and that way I'm never going to select this ground. If I click on it, it just doesn't happen. Yeah, so it saves you from doing that. But anyway, imagine I don't want this, and I don't want to see this forward animation on the kind of Foxy thing. Well, it's moving forward in the Translate Z. I can just go to the Translate Z channel and go mute selected, and that will stop. See, it's no longer, the animation's still there. I haven't done anything to it. So it's just right click and mute selected, and if I unmute it, off it goes again. Okay, the animation hasn't been changed. I'm going to go back and I'm going to press mute selected. I'm just going to have a look at these curves because they feel a bit weird to me. So okay, I think it's something to do with the tail coming around, or maybe this needs to go further. Maybe this is it. Maybe I need to put a key here and just move this further. Get rid of this. Maybe that will help. That feels a little bit better. Yeah, that feels a little bit better. Okay, yeah, that feels better to me. Okay, well we'll leave it, because otherwise, you know, you can noodle these things for forever. So we'll leave it as such. All right. So I'm going to unmute this. I'll go to this one. I'm going to unmute that. Right click. Unmute selected. So it's moving forward. Now frame 130 is where he's going to stop. Don't know why this thing's happening with the tail. Okay, so 130. Now what I want to do is I want animation. Now presently what we have is we just have lots of, we have a cycled animation. We only have keys down this end. Now that's fine, but the problem is if I was to make a key, I'll just show you what happens. Imagine I make a key, just any key, anywhere. I go here and I make a key. Just look at these lines here and look what happens to this. Everything screws up, yeah? Because it's cycled. So if you, as soon as you put a key in, it's like it will start cycling whatever you put in here. So you get this weird shape. So I can't do that. I'm going to press Control Z. Get rid of it. So I don't want to do that, but I want to be able to animate this, and I want him to jump up to frame 130. So it means what I have to do is we have to select all the controls that we've animated, which is this, 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 and this, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go to Edit, Keys, and then we're going to go to Bake Simulation. Yeah, and again you have Smart Bake, which may or may not work. Generally speaking, it doesn't work very well, so I'm not going to bother with that. Keep Unbaked Keys. I've got that unticked. I'm just going to bake this, and I don't. When it says bake, it says we've got some selections here. Time slider. We want it to 130, not the time slider. The time slider would take it right the way up to 200. So I'm going to go to 130. So I'm going to start frame number 1, and I'm going to end at frame 130, and then I'm just going to bake this out, and you'll see what happens in the timeline when I've done it. Oh, I've just attempted a fatal error. I may have to get back to you.